Alrighty, we're going to make a quick video here for efficient OC joining for Cryptid Phoenix. We're going to go over the priority role, the graph here, and some extra info on OCs and why there might be shortages and that type of stuff, along with the difference between our 1 through 6 levels and our 7 through 8 rotation. And we'll finish off with an extra detail about the start empty priority when you might not want to do that. So starting out, keep it simple, follow this, but at the end of this video I'll explain a situation where you won't technically want to do this step. Don't worry about it if it sounds confusing, but if you kind of get accustomed to this and you want to go a step further and have even a little bit more efficiency, consider that last step when you're going through this list and you do get to this phase. So once again, we're going to start out here at the beginning, and the first thing you should be looking for is your highest level OC between level 1 through 6 that is that basically is above these numbers. So if you were 68 on this level 6 OC, you would have 3 roles that you could join, assuming you were 68 or higher on all 3 of those roles. So you would, in that instance, you come over, you look for level 6, we'd come over recruiting, level 6, and we'd be looking for, yes, so I'm 80, so I'm way above that number, so you'd be like, okay, I have level 6s I could join. I am going to revert here though, because I want to use this example as level 5s in particular. But that's what you're looking for when using this graph, is your highest level. So we're going to pretend that I am 71 through 73 on level 5. So this is my range. We're going to pretend that level 6 is too high for me. I'm 65 or whatever like that. Or we'll say 64. I can't join it. Not even that one. So I don't even acknowledge 6. They don't exist for me yet. We're going to pretend I'm in that level 5 range. So when we come over to the level 5s, we're going to look here and we're going to follow the priority list. First step, paused. Is there anything paused? No, there is not. So we skip step 1. Step 2, about to pause within 6 hours. Is anything within 6 hours of pausing? In this instance, no, there is not. Now, in order to tell, you're looking for these clocks. Every slot is a day of planning, so there's kind of 2 ways to tell. You can look at this clock and you can count backwards based off seats. This is 3 days, 17 hours, so we know 3 seats haven't planned. 1, 2, 3. None of these are planned. And then this one still has 17 hours planned to go. So like that's one way to do it. And then the quick way to do it, to just glance, is to look for the partial circle. So if it looks like this, you just have to highlight it and you can see it kind of populating up here. That's how you would see one of these ones to kind of get an idea on it. But otherwise, look for this partial circle, and you can look at the clock to know how much time they have left, because obviously, like I said, 24-hour increments, so we know this person has 17 hours and 38 minutes. Like that's the quick way to just boom, okay, 17 hours before this slot gets used. And that means because he's behind him, that's 17 plus 24 hours before this slot gets used. So technically speaking, at first glance, if this slot was empty, you would not want to join here. Now Phoenix is in here correctly, which you'll see once we go through the other steps. But that's kind of how this works, and this is what we call overstacking. It's when you stack behind somebody that isn't planned. You want to avoid this if possible. This is just a specific scenario where he's just kind of stuck doing it, which does happen rarely, and mainly only for the level 5. So all the other levels shouldn't be overstacking like this, but in this particular instance, he is in the right. So we're going to come back up to the priority list. We looked, there was nothing within 6 hours of pausing, so the next one is started empty. Come back here, we got 2, scroll all the way down to make sure nothing loads, because it might go ... and load some more. In this instance, we have nothing. I'm going to show the ... load because I think I can get it to go here. I guess all these load. I might have been on it long enough that it loaded them all. But yeah, just scroll all the way down, make sure it doesn't do ... on you, because it might load some more. In this instance, there is no empties to join, so we would skip that step. So the next one is paused within 24 hours. We go back over it again. He's not touched. He's not touched. We know this is not paused within 24 hours because it would require the last 2 people, or the last person. The last person would have to be planning for that step. So we know these are over 24 hours from being used if I was to join either of these slots. So once again, it failed that check. The next check is 1 level down, paused within an hour on the last 1 or 2 slots. So on that in particular one, We're dropping down to level 4, and we're looking for the last one. So let's pretend there was a 3-man on here. A 3-man, you'd be looking more for that last slot, whereas the 4 and up, you're kind of looking at the last 2 slots. Basically, you're trying to get into an OC, not be in there very long to help finish it, so you can get back to the levels you should be. That's what this check is. But you're only dropping down if something is close that you can kind of efficiently get in and out of. You're not trying to start a level 4 and be stuck in here for 6 days before you can go back. Like, you want to kind of avoid that. There might be an instance where you have to, which we're going to go over shortly here. But generally, that's what this check is. You're looking for something that's almost done, a level down, that you could quickly pop into for a couple days and then go back up after it was done. So in this instance, nothing is within the last 2 days of planning or of completing. So that check has failed. So that puts us down to overstacking your actual range. So which puts us back up to level 5 and joining one of these 2 slots. So it's not on the priority list, but this is that situation I said we'd just go over here soon. If these did not exist, so let's say no level 5s are on here, they're all under planning or whatever like that, and you're trying to join a level 5, all those other checks failed, you have nothing to overstack on. Now you're in a situation where you just simply have to drop down to a 4, and you would just re-follow this in order again. It's really only going to happen at the level 5 range because we have to hold off on the level 5 spawns from time to time because we have too many of the no reserves popping up, and the no reserve is a 2-part OC, which puts a 6-man OC into the level 6s. And the problem is we're getting too many of them, and it takes the 6-man team longer to complete it than the 3-man team. So we have to make sure we don't make too many that they start decaying, and basically they just delete because nobody was in it in time. If that happens, we have people running level 5 OCs that aren't getting paid even though they were successful, and it never technically failed. It's just basically getting deleted into existence, so we're wasting people's time. That's why the level 5s occasionally have that shortage and we don't have any spawned. It's because we probably have 3 or 4 of these suckers sitting over here waiting to be in the planning stage. So when I say planning stage, it means it's full. It has enough people that we know it's going to complete. So in this particular instance, we have 2 of them in recruiting, and that's it. So I'm actually going to spawn a couple level 5s at the end of this video because this is about the point where, okay, yeah, we can have another 1 or 2, but whenever we have 3+ in the recruiting phase, we hard stop the level 5 spawns because it's just simply outpacing what they can complete here, and they'll start deleting from timing out, and we don't want that to happen. So that's an instance where there might not be a level 5 to join. This would be empty when you come to the recruiting tab, and it's just not there, so that you'd have to drop down to level 4 and you just follow the priority order again as if level 4 was your normal OC. And when you completed that level 4, you'd look again to see if new 5s had spawned. That's the one instance where you might have to drop down. Otherwise, all the other OCs, we should have enough spawns that you should be able to follow the priority order pretty well to exactly for the level that you normally join on. The last thing we were going to go over here was on the step start and empty. There is one extra thing to keep in mind. So let's pretend we're going to use level 6 here as an example. As we can see here, we have 6 people about to come out within roughly a day. Let's pretend one of these didn't exist and instead they all started a new one. So when we come back to level 6 on recruiting, that would put 3 new ones on 1 person. So we would know that this is a day from planning. This is over a day from planning. This is 18 hours from planning. This is over a day from planning. And then let's say they all joined, and let's say this one was, let's say they were all 12 hours from planning. So technically speaking, if you came in here and looked, it would, there would be nothing within 6 hours of pausing. So you'd be better off to start a new one because there is enough OCs. Instead of just blindly starting a new one, if you came over and checked the planning, like I said, in this example, we're pretending this doesn't exist, it's just 1. We know 3 people are coming out within a day. Technically speaking, if you scroll down on this page, you can kind of get an idea if there's anybody who hasn't quite joined yet. Once you get used to names, to kind of have an idea of how many people will be joining these within the next day. But in this example, we're pretending there's 6 of these running. None of them are paused within 6 hours. And you're trying to join a spot. We come over, we look. Okay, we have 3 people coming out because this one doesn't exist, like I said. So we have 3 people coming out within roughly a day. And we come down here, and there's really not anybody that's in the level 6 range. So we come back up here. There's 6 slots to join, nothing within 6 hours. The rule of thumb says start an empty, but that would make a 7th OC. We only have 3 people coming out. So in this instance, we really don't want to start another OC. I would join whatever had the soonest clock, even though it was one of those 12-hour ones. I would want to join on that to get that clock running. And so I'm going to be sitting in there for 12 hours, not used, but at least after that 12 hours, I'm going to have 12 hours of usage, and I'm not starting a new OC that's doomed to pause because 7 of these OCs, because I would have been the 7th one, I would have started the 7th one, are relying on 3 people to prevent pauses. So that's that extra step where when it comes to the starting an OC, you might want to keep in mind how many people are coming out of OCs to have an idea of who's going to be filling these clocks, because if it stretches too thin, when too many people start starting new ones, for the most part it balances pretty good and it doesn't happen, but occasionally it can. So it's just something to keep in mind. This is that like extra technical step, just so for those that want to kind of go a little bit further, because otherwise, worst case scenario, you end up paused a little bit and there's a little bit of a backlog, a couple of them pause, and as you know, one of these big run finishes, now 6 people to get them all resumed again. So that's like the worst case. It's not the end of the world when you follow this to the T. It's just an extra step for this particular bit when you want to be even more efficient, to kind of keep in mind. So with that all said, I will level 7 and 8s, even if you're 70 plus, that's a specific rotation. It doesn't follow this usual. It doesn't follow this. I'm not going to go over that in this video because I go over that whenever someone gets brought into the rotation. We go over that one-on-one, newsletters, all that type of stuff. I kind of teach you that separately. So I'm not going to go over that here. However, if you are 60 plus in the level 7 plus range, you can send me your OC pass rate info, and I will put you on the backup / fill-in list. And along with basically when we do expand the team, you'll be one of those first people to kind of get pulled up into that expansion. So this is kind of just a waiting game once you get in range before we can kind of pull you in. It's not, we can't just pick up anybody the moment they hit 60 or within range or anything like that, simply because of the fact that it messes up the whole efficiency cycle we have going on up there, which is a completely different system. So just the simple part is when you start out, just level 1 through 6 is all you have to pay attention to. When you start seeing the 7s and up, get into the 60 range, just let me know. You'll be on a backup list, and we'll kind of like go from there, and I'll explain things from there. But for now, just follow the priority list and stick with the level 1 through 6s. Obviously, towards your highest level that you have, that passes the pass rates. We're going to wrap up here with the last bit, which is the pay weights. We use pay weights on our seats. What this is the seats correspond with the position in the OC. So this is seat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because even if you were to join here, it moves over here. Basically, it's the order of planning. It's how many days you're forced to wait in an OC for it to complete, and it makes sure that this person that's going to be in here for 6 days isn't getting screwed by having the same payout as this person if he was to join today, only having to be in here for 2 days and 18 hours. So the pay weights simply balance that. So in the instance where you're better off to, let's pretend, let's go back here. In this instance, if everybody had the same payout, I would want to join probably here. A bigger OC, it's going to have a bigger payout because there's more slots, and 2 days, 18 hours, it is going to have it's going to complete. So if everybody had an even payout, you'd want to join here, even though in this situation, you're better off to start a new one. it's more efficient to start a new one, and as a group we make more money starting a new one, and that's why we use pay weights. It's to make sure that when you're forced to start a new one and be here for 3 days, or if you started a bigger one, there isn't another 6-man, but you know, if there was another 6-man, whatever, and being in it for 6 days or 3 days versus this 2 days and 18 hours, it's making sure you're not getting screwed and having a smaller payout for being more efficient. That's why we have this weight divided the way it is. And as you can see, the efficiency is more onto the later seats. So this person has to be in here for 6 days. This person has to be in here for a day. If we times this by 6, it's over 30%. So if you were to perfectly join the last slot on 6 pause to OC, you would make money here. It's only a little bit higher so that you're joining within that, close to that 6 hour within pause range. Anything past that 6 hour within pause range, you're better off starting new. You're going to make more money over here, and that's how this ties in with the payouts and making sure you're making as much money as possible while being as efficient as possible. So I think that should wrap this up pretty good. I'm gonna call it here. If you guys have any questions, you know, feel free to reach out anytime, and thanks for listening to the TED Talk.